Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you back to the Steve Malzberg Show. We know that the Obamacare website has been a problem, and we know that, at least in my view, the problem with the website pales in comparison to the problem with the Affordable Care Act itself. As we've documented today and in the past, people losing their specialists, their cancer doctors, their whole network of doctors, right on down the line, as we just discussed with Senator Rand Paul. But joining us now is Bill Gertz, and Bill Gertz, national security columnist for the Washington Times, senior editor at the Washington Free Beacon. Hello, Bill.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm fine. Always good to talk to you. I had a conversation before we get to your piece about that attack on the power plant in San Jose and how serious an issue that could be for the future of our power grid. Do you? I don't want to throw you a curve here, but do you believe that that was a test by terrorists to see how we would react and how far they could get?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that report specifically, but I know that our power infrastructure is very vulnerable. I've been reporting on that on a number of different areas. Basically, you can bring down the power grid if you get inside the network through a cyber attack.
Hey, but let's move on to another cause for concern. We've been told, for those who would listen, we've been told through testimony before Congress from hackers, from security experts, and everybody in between, that the Obamacare website is not secure. And now you have a great piece at the Washington Free Beacon about how the network is vulnerable to a cyber attack.
Yeah, this is a very important story. Last week, the U.S. intelligence community reported internally that they believe that hackers related to the anti-U.S., pro-Russian government of Belarus were involved in developing the software for the Obamacare website. As a result of that, there are concerns that Belarus hackers may have planted malicious software inside the Obamacare network, and that may allow some kind of secret access, or somehow they could get into the system and steal personal information from Americans, some of the 3 million Americans who signed up for Obamacare. It's a new security problem that, in addition to all of the other functionality problems with the website.
Now, okay, when we talk about vulnerability, and we talk, we already know that the people that are getting your information, Kathleen Sebelius admitted there's no background checks on these people, already admitted that it's possible that criminals, or former criminals, if you will, can be taking your Social Security number and your other information, and you would never know. But how much of a risk is this? And again, we don't know. Right. When Target got hacked, under federal law, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're forced to eventually tell the public and the people whom it is stolen. Am I correct that they don't even have, the government doesn't even have to tell the public that it's been hacked?
Russian malware in the system. They're continuing to look. The problem is there's 5 million lines of code. Most business software programs are like 500,000 lines of code. So you've got a lot to look through, a lot of ones and zeros to search for to try and find this. Again, if it's a sophisticated hacker network and they were involved in the development of the software, it may be nearly impossible to find it. It would be like finding a needle in a haystack. That said, they haven't found any malware yet, but clearly this is a very much of a concern. And the concern is compounded by the fact that a year ago in February, large amounts of U.S. internet traffic were hijacked by Belarus, sent through a circuitous route, and then sent on to Belarus, and then sifted for intelligence, either economic espionage or government espionage. So that's kind of the thing. And when you combine that with the anti-U.S. Pro-Russian government in Minsk, it really makes it a very serious potential threat at this point.
And it's not as if, and we're talking to Bill Gertz here on the Steve Malzberg Show, a national security columnist for the Washington Times and senior editor at the Washington Free Beacon. It's not as if we could go to Vladimir Putin and say, hey, are you guys doing anything, or help us out? Or he's not going to help us even if he could. And we would never go to him for help, because we know that would never be fruitful, correct?
That's absolutely correct. The Russian government is really turning into a KGB state. This week there was a hearing of the threat briefing of all the intelligence chiefs, and it turns out the number one threat to U.S. security is not China's military buildup or Iran's nuclear program. It's the leaks from Edward Snowden. Literally, that seems to be what these intelligence officials are saying. And there was a lot of discussion at this open hearing that Russia may have gained access to these 1.7 million secret documents from Snowden, and that's really a big problem.
So where do you believe this is all headed? I mean, they're not going to shut down, as I believe Mike Rogers and others have said that they should. I think Rogers told you guys that we need an independent, thorough security evaluation of the site. We need the commitment from the administration that the findings will be acknowledged and promptly addressed, shut down and properly stress the test site and test the site to ensure the consumers are protected. They're not interested, in my opinion, in doing any of that. They're never going to admit there are security flaws. We heard the president with Bill O'Reilly. So I guess it's go ahead at your own risk. But you know what, Bill? Soon, 100 million people, or maybe a little less by the end of this year, are going to have to turn to Obamacare because they're going to lose their employer-based health care, and we're all going to be vulnerable like this.
Well, I think really the ball is in the Congress's court right now. The Congress has to step up and mandate these things and require these security changes. Rogers has been very outspoken on this issue, and he said that it's not just a matter of personal privacy data, but the way that this Obamacare network is structured, it includes 6 or 7 different hubs that connect throughout the government. And he was saying that if you break through one firewall through this Obamacare, and we see that now that it's potentially vulnerable from Belarus, you can get into other sensitive networks, including the IRS or the Department of Homeland Security. So they've clearly got to step up and say, look, we need this site to be secure. We can't have questions about this. It has to do with the integrity of the system, and they definitely need to do a thorough search and really figure out what the threat is.
Yeah, and nothing that people could do on their own. No way of knowing if they're being hacked. They're just sitting ducks, so to speak.
Yeah, sure. I mean, everybody that signs up to that website, I'd be very wary about putting personal information in there. I mean, this is the intelligence report talked about identity theft and the compromise of personal data. So those are the real issues. And of course, Belarus is a major hub for Eastern European cyber criminals.
And, you talk, Bill, and you're so right. Personal information, Social Security numbers, employment information, birth dates, health records, tax returns, and more. There's no way around it. If you're logging on for a reason with a mission, you're going to have to put that stuff in there.
Right. And, even financial information, because they're going to have to pay for this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Bill, always great to talk to you. Keep up the great work, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Bill Gertz, ladies and gentlemen, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And this is, where does it end? And it's almost kind of reminds me of it's not a great analogy, and it's kind of a reverse analogy of how, one Obama scandal after the next. If you try to keep up with everything that they're doing, whether it's foreign policy, domestic policy, regulations, executive orders, whatever, your head spins. Well, here, the media keeps talking about how the website is fixed. Well, this puts a problem with that evaluation of the website. Security-wise, it certainly is not fixed. It's not fixed in other ways as well. If you listen to people who say they still can't get on it, they still have problems. Mistakes that have been made by people who have entered either wrong information in the past or were processed improperly by the website, that information is unfixable, we are now being told. So the website has not been fixed. The website is not secure. And in addition to that, all the aforementioned problems with the policies, with the deductibles, with the unaffordable deductibles and premiums, with the people losing their network of doctors, their hospitals, their oncologists. There is nothing good about this, with the exception that, your kids could stay on their parents' health care till they're 25, and, pre-existing conditions. To sacrifice the entire medical system, to put people into bankruptcy or the threat of bankruptcy, or have them choose between I don't know what and health care, discretionary spending and health care, You talk about stifling an economy. My goodness, this is as bad as we could have possibly expected. And as Obama likes to say, you ain't seen nothing yet. Because wait until the death panels kick in. Wait until the rationing kicks in. That hasn't even really started yet to any full extent. And when there's 100 more million of us enrolled via this website, I can't even think about it. So Republicans who have the purse strings, they have to take a stand. And they have to make clear why they're taking the stand. They have to make clear to, if it takes a government shutdown, whatever it takes, they have to make people understand that these are horror stories. Horror stories. And as I said to Rand Paul, and as I've said to countless others, they have to parade these people who have been victimized by this disaster of Obamacare, who can't afford it anymore, their insurance changes, who don't have their doctors anymore, who don't have their oncologists anymore, whose kids can't get into the cancer hospitals anymore. They need to parade these people out there and say, this is why we're defunding this. And if the president shuts down the government, then he is for keeping these people in the problems that they have right now. Express yourself, present your case. They don't know how to do it. They just don't know. But that's what it's going to take. And the Republicans need to act sooner rather than later, because the further along this gets, the harder it's going to be to ever try to untangle it. And it is an unmitigated disaster for all of us. Okay, we are coming back. Remember the Coca-Cola commercial from the Super Bowl? We'll play it for you again. America the Beautiful, sang in all these different languages. Some felt it was wonderful and beautiful. I felt it was horrific in many respects. And we're going to talk to a writer who says, hey, conservatives, you have no reason to trash this. We'll talk about it when we come back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.